The Song of Us by Kate Fussner. This is a middle grade novel in verse. So I'll give a brief plot summary here. We have Eden, who's a new girl at a new middle school. She's a musician, and so she joins the poetry club, where she meets Olivia, who started the poetry club, really likes poetry, is another 13-year-old girl at this middle school. And we get two point of views here. We get them alternating. And basically they meet and they develop a crush on each other. They start dating for a little while and then they break up because Eden has a homophobic father and she has like a new friend group and she's not sure if she's gonna be able to come out to them. They really understand her. She wants to like fit in. They're also 12 and not very good at relationships because this is their first relationship. They have their first kiss with each other. It's pretty cute, but they are immature kids. And so they sort of spend the rest of the novel trying to find their way back to each other and, grow as people. I did like this for the most part. Actually, the poetry is really nice. This is probably the most poetic novel in verse I've ever read. It's not confusing. It's not like so abstract that, you can't follow what's going on. It's definitely a narrative and it's a clear narrative, and I think kids could read this, but it also is like just good as poetry. There's a lot of playing with form. There's different types of poems. There's like some actually genuinely good lines and like metaphors and stuff, and like repeating themes and like stanzas that come back, and it's quite nice actually. I've never read such a poetic novel in verse. I've read a few of them, and I didn't expect this middle grade one to be the strongest example of actual poetry, actual verse in a novel in verse. Because a lot of them just read like books that are sort of really simple and stripped back to their barest parts. Just the novel without all of the fluff. Maybe some good lines and some experimentation, but this was like a really shining example of the genre in a weird way. I mostly like these characters. I mean, they're 12. I'm 30, so I spent a lot of this book going, I don't think these 12-year-olds are mature enough for a romantic relationship. But also, like, they're 12, and so when you're 12 and your first relationship happens, it's a very heightened experience. So, of course, they're saying, I love you, and they're absolutely heartbroken when things don't go right. Low-key, I started not to like Eden because she gets in with a bad group of friends. They like go to parties and like drink and vape weed at like 13, and I'm like, that's a little young. And the whole time Eden's like, I kind of know this is a bad idea, but I'm just not gonna say anything. I'm just gonna go along with it, which I guess kids do. I guess that happens to a lot of people where they just have a shitty friend and then they're too anxious to tell their friend no because they don't want to seem uncool or something. But like, I can't relate to that. I just would have gotten new friends, to be honest. Like, there's all kinds of people at the school. She was also friends with people at the poetry club. I guess she thinks the other people at the poetry club are going to side with Olivia in the breakup since Olivia started the poetry club. And so like maybe she can't be friends with them. I don't know. I just would have gotten new friends. Even when I was 12, I didn't do any of this shit. I was more responsible than that, so I didn't really respect Eden, but she's also fucking 12, so... And I mean, by the end of the book, she does dump those friends. So I guess this actually is a good portrayal of that sort of storyline for kids who might be reading this and going, oh, I have some friends who sometimes do some questionable things I don't agree with, and she left her friends. Should I leave my friends? Yeah, you probably should, kid. I don't know why you're watching this. Go do your homework. So I guess that's a good storyline. But I was like, this Eden kid's kind of dumb. So I was like, Olivia could probably do better. But I mean, Eden does grow by the end of the book, so that's the journey. Book characters don't have to be perfect. Believe it or not, the whole point of a story is about character growth and the journey and becoming a better person. Who knew? It's like, I've never read a book before. Actually, I kind of did like this ending. It's very rushed. The ending's very rushed. I think I'll spoil it because this is a kid's book for kids. And you're not gonna read this. I say this every time I review a middle grade novel. No one's gonna watch this video and then read that. I don't know why you're watching this video at all. because I'm talking to mostly adults on the internet. I'm assuming 90% of you are adults. But the ending, it comes on very rushed. That is a flaw of this book. So Eden's dad finds out that she's been talking to this girl and like sneaking out and like has all these bad friends. And like his frustration kind of builds throughout the novel, but eventually he's just like, nah, fuck it, kid. You're out of here. Go live with your aunt. And so she gets shipped off to Arizona and like is living a completely different state in a different life. But it is implied that her aunt is actually like a good person and is queer positive, maybe queer herself. And so like Eden can be herself in this new place. But it's just like, nah, the dad's just like, fuck you, kid. It's like, damn, that's fucking wild. At that, again, it's very sudden, and then the two main characters obviously don't end up together because they're living in different states and they're 12. But they keep in touch. They start writing each other letters, and you know they keep in contact. And so it's a happy ending in the sense that you feel like Eden has a better life now, and that they've made at least a friend, if not a romantic love interest forever, happily ever after. They're friends now, and they've had a positive overall impact on each other's lives. So it's a good ending, even if it's very rushed. Another, I don't know if this is a problem. This is pitched, like marketed in the description, as a retelling of Orpheus and Eurydice. No, I don't remember if I've even read that story in its completion. I did study mythology in school. Like, I have a classical culture minor. Mythology wasn't my focus. I was a Latin language focused minor, but I did take 3 mythology classes. I probably read it at some point. There's like no parallels that I could see between the story of Orpheus and Eurydice and this. The only parallels or like tie-ins at all, they go to Olympus Middle School, which is on the fucking nose, and also doesn't even come up till the end. I don't think that that's ever mentioned. And then Olivia, Orpheus, Eurydice, Eden, the O and the E names. And then Olivia is spending a lot of the book trying to get Eden back, even though like Eden cheated on her at a party and like kissed someone else, and didn't apologize. Although Olivia calls her a slut for this and is like, that's out of line. And so she does also have to apologize and, you know, try to mend her relationship with Eden. And she didn't give Eden a chance to explain herself. But Eden also did kiss someone else at a party. So like, I think Eden's more in the wrong here. They're both in the wrong. They didn't react to this situation calmly. But Eden also, like, it was spin the bottle and she felt pressured by her friends. She didn't want to kiss this boy. But like, it's drama, middle school drama. But for a lot of this book, I was like, Olivia, you can do better. She's not worth it, bro. But they're 12, whatever. I guess they're the only 2 like gay kids at the school, so maybe you literally can't do better at this point in your life. Maybe it is worth it to repair the relationship and then at least have a gay friend. And it is a good lesson about hearing people out and not calling them names and not blowing up at them immediately and talking out your problems instead of, you know, just immediately detonating everything you've built together. I suppose there's something there in the message. But anyway, that's the only parallel, is that Olivia's trying to win back Eden. But like, that's literally just any like romance arc where the couple breaks up and have to get back together. You wouldn't call any book with that plotline an Orpheus and Eurydice retelling. There's like nothing supernatural here. There's nothing about hell. I mean, I guess Eden's like pretty depressed and is going along with this bad friend group, even though she's not very happy. She calls them the Crash because she's like crashed as a person. She's hit rock bottom. She's 12 and she's had a breakup. And so like maybe that's the middle school equivalent of hell. And Olivia has to save her from it. That's not really Olivia's job. She's also 12. I don't know. There were no like obvious parallels between these 2 stories. And maybe there's like little details, because again, I don't remember the original myth very well. I just know the big idea of Orpheus going to hell to get Eurydice back, and then the thing is that he can't look back or else she won't come with him. But like Olivia spends a lot of time looking back. Like I guess, like she plans for the future. She plans like this big event, this poetry event, where she's gonna write an apology poem and win Eden back. So I guess she does spend a lot of time looking forward to the future. If you want to really get into absolute reach of analysis here for this middle grade novel, she's looking ahead to the future to learn how to win Eden back. But like she is like, I want Eden, and that's kind of looking to the past instead of like moving on. But also, I mean, I guess Orpheus did that because he wanted Eurydice back. I don't know. I don't see the parallels. I would not call this a Eurydice and Orpheus retelling. Maybe someone who knows the myth better could argue that in the comments. Maybe there's something I'm missing here because I don't remember that myth well. But like, I feel like 13-year-olds reading this probably wouldn't know the intricacies of the Orpheus and Eurydice myth. Maybe they've heard about it. Maybe they've read part of it. I had not read part of it at 13. Not in school anyway. Maybe if a kid's interested in that, they know it and they like went out of the way to read it in their free time. But I think all a kid would know about Orpheus and Eurydice is that he travels to hell to get her back and then he can't look back at her or else she won't be able to come with him. And that doesn't happen in this book. I don't get it. I don't know why that was the marketing. Maybe the verse is reminiscent of the myth. I definitely wouldn't remember enough to tell you anything about that, but I don't think so because there's a lot of experimentation in this, which I liked. But I don't think there's like a lot of variance in the verse of the Orpheus myth. So like, I don't think that's it either. I don't know. Anyway, pretty decent book. I liked the actual text and I guess the story. I'm old, so I like didn't love these characters because they're fucking 12. And I'm like, girl, just grow up. But they're 12. So like I'm not the target demographic for this. But I did enjoy it. I'd give this like a 3.5 stars. Maybe like a 4 stars for a kid. But yeah, really the Orpheus thing, the comparison to that is the only like major issue I had with this book. And the rushed ending. But other than that, anything I didn't like was because I'm old and not in middle school. So I think this is overall a good book, and it does a lot of what it wants to do, except for the Orpheus stuff. But I think it's cute. I think it's a good novel in verse.